All right. I am here. Is my mic working? It is. I am here with Uro, Nature's Wrath. No one's ever tried this before. There are new cards, and those cards are kind of crazy. We have Tooth and Nail, and we have, what are these? Cyclonic Rift, which are very disgusting and kind of insane. This card is crazy. Not as crazy as, like, a 4-player game, because you're not bouncing everybody's stuff, you're just bouncing your opponent. Just like one player, but still absolutely insane. I assume this will go into every single blue deck from here on out. Tooth and Nail might not go in every single green deck, but it's pretty easy to find 3 slots for Tooth and Nail and then 2 combo cards, or, 2 lol I win, like Xenagos and World Spine Tree is one that just came out too. Obviously I don't have red for those, but that's a thing. What I'm doing with Tooth and Nail is Platinum Angel and Sarith, where I just have Platinum Angel. It has Vigilance, or rather it's just untapped, and it just sits there with the Angel that you can't interact with. So if that ever happens, I don't know, it really boils down to your opponent having their own Cyclonic Rift, because it doesn't target, or a board wipe. Spot removal doesn't do anything, and you don't exactly have to block with it if you can't lose the game. So that's kind of what I'm really trying to do. I'm also running way more lands than I've ever ran in my life, 44. You could probably put more lands in here too if you're like super interested in like getting a land drop every turn, as long as you curve out with a good ramp strategy, right? But always hitting my land from the Uro trigger, Explore, Growth Spiral, and Joint Exploration seems like a good place to be. I had a lot of counter spells in here initially, but I just took them out because I wanted to make room for more lands and really go in on the Tooth and Nail thing. So hopefully we get it a lot. I have Solved the Equation that can find it. I don't have anything like Narset, though that's not really reliable to find it. For removal, again, mostly Cyclonic Rift, but you have River's Rebuke, Witness Protection. There's like 3 of these in blue, and there's the green one, Kendler's Transformation, but I'm not running those currently. I love Nissa. I don't think I've ever actually cast this card. I've had it in a few decks, but with this many lands, I really hope the 0 can, just do something. This fuels Uro really fast as well, until your opponent stops milling because they're going to die. This could give me 1 or 2, escape triggers or something like that. Probably just 1 on average, but I don't know. We'll see. Again, a lot of lands and a lot of ways to get multiple lands into play per turn. So we have Scute Swarm and Tireless Provisioner. I don't have Tireless Tracker. It's kind of mana hungry for all the clue tokens. But it would work. I'm trying to draw into Tooth and Nail very often. Primeval Titan is new. All the Titans came out. This does not have Field of the Dead, so it's not really as exciting, like, at all. It's just you play it and you get some lands out, and then if it survives somehow and you swing, you get some lands out. Like, you can play this and then untap, swing with it, and now you have Ulamog mana. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. This could probably, in this deck specifically, be Cultivator Colossus, because I have 44 lands, as opposed to this. So, I don't know. But this is a new card, so I'm going to try it. I mean, you can run both. You can run both, right? There's definitely more room for expensive stuff, but we'll see. I have Mission Briefing and Snapcaster Mage to recur one of my few extremely powerful spells, being Tooth and Nail, Cyclonic Rift, River's Rebuke, Discover the Formula. Maybe Mission Briefing is a little too iffy. It's still a Scry 2, I guess, or Surveil 2. I don't know. Wayfarer's Bauble is also new. This card will probably go into every single deck here on out for the rest of time, which is kind of, it's inevitable. Like, the older the format gets, the more cards you will see in every single deck, like the One Ring. It's just going to happen. Celestius is almost up there as well, Mind Stone. Arcane Signet, obviously. But I don't know. Like, this card was not popular in normal EDH for a very long time, and then out of nowhere, it was like $2 a piece. Like, I don't know. It's like somebody realized it was decent, and then everyone just hopped on board. But this obviously has way less cards in it. It's not every card in Magic, at least not yet. So, yeah, but I would recommend putting this in every single deck ever. It's almost a mana dork, right? Like, it's almost another one. You can play it on turn 1, and then it gives you something to do next turn. It becomes your Rampant Growth for the next turn. It's not as good as Rampant Growth, but it's if you're not in green, eh. Also, I want Command Tower in here. I always forget that card exists. So yeah, we'll see how we do. Like, comment, subscribe. Remember, I stream over on Twitch about 6 p.m. Eastern. 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And let's go. Rusco. Alright, kind of a rough start, but maybe not, right? We were saying how big green decks are, like, pretty good against the control thing, because all you need to do is resolve, like, one thing and you start pulling ahead. I don't have an untapped green source turn 1. Therefore, I am nerfed. I am not as disgusting as I otherwise would have been, which is really unfortunate, but I can't be convinced that this is a bad hand, so... I guess I don't even play this next turn, probably. Actually, yeah, we can still play it, because I have this as a tap land. Yeah, why not? This is decent enough. If they spend their next turn casting a 2-mana removal spell, that's alright. End step Brainstorm, I'm not gonna say anything. I repeat myself constantly about that. I don't like it. I don't think I would recommend doing that. I don't know what their hand look like, but still. No removal spell. Alright, so let's run this out. Let's play you. So I can play Uro and leave up. I'm gonna leave with a land just in case my opponent has something adorable there. Looks like they don't. Uro is one of the worst cards to counter. It's like really bad. They still counter it though. That's interesting. I guess I can put him to the command zone because I don't exactly have anything to do. That's reasonable to me. Put this on green. Alright, so I have Counterspell up. I guess I'll counter their commander. I think that's reasonable. Yep, reasonable enough. Tasha. Oh, that's interesting. I love me a good Tasha deck. So, control, again, pretty favorable matchup. Just playing giant threats over and over until they run out of answers is usually how you win. Especially when one of those answers never stops. It just keeps being a thing. Like, forever. Countering a ramp spell? Whoa. Alright, you love to see that. That is never a bad thing. When someone counters ramp, you're not upset. That's totally fine. Especially when I had something to do the turn after, which is Uro. Also, countering Uro was really bad. That is really, really good. Alright, this is the second time someone Bowmastered me. Kind of unfortunate. It is definitely one of the stronger cards against Uro in particular. Not much I can do about it, though. I think we're keeping it in the graveyard. Because I don't really want to trigger Bowmasters. I don't have a solid answer to it. I don't have a ton of card draw, though. So it's not like the absolute end of the world. I'll probably play Invasion. I don't think I want to play Key. Yeah, and if my opponent, again, if they're countering this, this actually doesn't change the turn in which I would play a 6-drop anyways, Wormcoil. It's coming into play next turn anyways. Yeah. This is actually really, really bad because you're exhausting your resources to tempo me out so I don't get to these. But I'm going to get to them eventually, right? This game, it's not like a Blue-Red Delver Legacy matchup where I die before I resolve these. You're going to give me the time to cast these. See, now like now you don't have a counterspell for this, where you otherwise would have. I mean, you wouldn't have had to cast this, but this is the problem with this. Tasha can be kind of scary. The ultimate's a little scary. I do have some mana dorks though, but there are quite a few very large threats in my deck. I don't have a solid way to just like swing at it right now or anything. Alright, well, that's not good. I don't have any attack. Although I didn't have an attack anyways, so that doesn't matter too much. Alright, shield counter and a 4/4. All that jazz. Alright, looks like they added a counter to it so that when they do ultimate, it doesn't even go away. Let's see, do I lose instantly? Not quite. They cannot... No, they can Snapcaster Tezzeret's Gambit. Primeval Titan's a little unfortunate, but it could have been worse. I have Uro cards, but again, Bowmasters is in play, so it isn't really even that exciting. Oh, there goes Wormcoil. There's no universe, you don't take this. Wow. Really? What? Were they like super scared of... What? They didn't want me to get like Approach the Second Sun? Wow. I don't... What? What is happening? Okay. So I can swing, but it doesn't actually... It's not that useful. The fact they get to swing with Primeval Titan is kind of unfortunate. I've never actually cast it yet, and you know, my opponent gets to cast and swing with my Primeval Titan before I ever get to. Okay, so Hive gets to kill or eat, I guess, Uro out of the graveyard? I don't really know how relevant, like, is that, it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, that doesn't really matter. Do you even eat Uro here? Like, does that make sense? They do? Really? Okay. It's kind of weird. But I guess it's better than every other option. I don't know. It triggers the Bowmasters, but... They felt like it was really worth it to do that, because I just straight killed their stuff there. It's very strange. It's very strange. So let's play this in Provisioner. My opponent can trigger Bowmasters every time this happens, but this getting +1/+1 repeatedly and me taking 1 damage is not that big of a deal. I don't believe I'd fight over this, though. I'm not going to fight over it. Alright, play you, leave up Counterspell, and swing. I guess I swing. Wormcoil will become a 5/5? Attacking Tasha doesn't seem ideal. If I swing, what's happening? Alright, I think I'm going to swing. This Wormcoil getting smaller and smaller every turn is kind of fine when it splits into 2 3/3s at some point. It has Death Touch. If it didn't have Death Touch, obviously I couldn't swing with it. You can just easily take this, right? Oh, I guess you could just block with my Snapcaster Mage. It's not really doing anything. Adds a card to my graveyard, not super relevant. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not really upset with this at all. Kind of surprised they just didn't cash that in for lands. Like, just swing with their Primeval Titan. Just to cash it in for lands, right? If you're willing to block with it there, you might as well take 5 and just attack with it. It's just, like, better. Oh, they get to steal. Right. Right. I forgot Tasha had that. I totally forgot Tasha could do that. I'm going to give him Wormcoil. Yeah. I'd much rather have them have Wormcoil than infinite lands. That would be a problem. Alright, let's see if we can stop Tasha for a while. Yeah, infinite lands would be much larger issue. Okay, so lead with an attack. If I'm going to swing, I got to do it before I start playing stuff. Should have plussed before, just more information. But yeah, this is not enough to do anything super effective. Alright, let's do this. So if I do this again... Okay, they didn't kill my Provisioner. That's kind of strange. I would have targeted Provisioner with the first ping and then killed it with the second. I decline. I have to do this now, and I have to get these creatures out of my graveyard. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I'll add another treasure. Do we want food at this point? Food isn't bad. We like food. Food's nice. Everyone likes food. How can you not like food? We have enough life. I'm just going to make the treasure. Okay, so no Tasha nonsense now. I don't exactly have Uro every turn. Uro doesn't have trample, and the Bowmasters will always create a token on Uro attack to block, so Bowmasters, like I said, one of the worst things we could see here. I don't have an answer to it at all. Well, if this is going away, I might as well cast it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Alright, well, I can't mill these, obviously, because I don't want my opponent to steal them with Tasha. But that's a pretty good 2. So I can swing. What do I do now? If I did have a creature in hand, they actually could have stole it. There's nothing I could have done to stop that. Oh. Okay. What? Okay. So I cast Ulamog, I hit Bowmasters and this thing. No more Bowmasters. They just plus, but they gotta get rid of the card. Wow. Yeah. I really, really disagree with that sweeper. I really disagree with it. Were they in that bad of a spot? I can't even remember. Like, what did they have in play for creatures? They had, like, the Worm Coil tokens. Bowmasters. What did they kill of mine that was, like... Earl's not really dead. It always just comes back. I don't agree with that board wipe. I just don't agree with it. Even if they did not cast the board wipe, they were still in a bad spot, right? Like, this was probably going to make them concede anyways, like it did. But I don't really agree with casting the sweeper. Let's see. My opponent can Tasha next turn, and then they can -2 it. And let's say I give them Gilded Goose, right? I just give them the Goose. I could give them Snapcaster Mage, because I don't think they have any... Let's see, this costs 8 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They would have 1 mana to do stuff once they -2'd, so the -2 is just... I mean, literally any of these is fine. Even, well, not giving them Uro, but it would not give them a creature, just give them an extra card. Yeah, I guess they were just in a bad position with or without the Blood in the Snow, but I still don't agree with casting it. Interesting game. That's insane. Didn't know that. I've never played Joda. I don't find it that interesting. I just don't find it interesting. It's not my kind of deck. It's kind of like Aragorn, which I did play, you just untap with Aragorn and you've basically won because he hits out of nowhere for like 50. He's like a shotgun. All your red and green spells just come with like 7 damage. It's absolutely crazy, right? Alright, so we're in a position where my opponent is like maybe interested in countering Uro over and over, and as I said before, this is we do not care. Okay, opponent wisely doesn't. If they could, they did not. It feels bad because I'm going to be ramping, right? You want to stop the ramp, but that's not necessarily true. This is a very... I'm actually going to put Uro in the command zone, but this is almost questionable because I have other things to do for a while that aren't Uro. But I don't believe I'm casting Wormcoil next turn because I don't want it to get hit by a counterspell. I'd much rather do this. I'm completely content with just doing this. I didn't counter it last time, so... I can do this again as well. Okay, that gives me something to do. Let's... Okay, one more time. One more time. Let's do this. My hand is pretty solid. I have to cast this in response to Teferi. That's not Teferi. That's not Teferi. I like Key to the Archive a lot. I think 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so this is a really good threat. I'm guaranteed a Serpent before they, like, maybe exile it or something. Which is, I mean, it's decent. They can just bounce it with Teferi, though. Like swords and Teferi bounce. Thassa's interesting. Means they have a lot more creatures than I would have thought. It's not just blue-white control. It's got, like, things going on. I'm not tapping their lands. Could have a bunch of board wipes. Mysterious Luminance. Limousine. Exile up to 1 target creature till this leaves the battlefield. Exile this way. Alright, yeah, that does it. You got it. That's a neat card. I've never seen it. I've never seen anyone play that card in my life. Now there's a dog going ballistic outside. Yeah, let's do that. So, I'm going to play Wormcoil because it's really annoying to deal with. And they can bounce it with Teferi, but then Teferi instantly dies. So, I like this. We're kind of board wipe proof in a way. What the? Return 1 creature to its owners. Okay, so my opponent's playing some very interesting cards. If a creature, exile, return. So they can swing and exile my token, but then I just get Kama back, so that doesn't really make a lot of sense. They can't... I mean, they can exile their own creature? But then when they flicker... How does this work? Yeah. And then at their end step... Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did they just mess up horribly? I think my opponent just messed up horribly. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what just happened. That was very confusing. I think me and my opponent are both like, maybe that could have been done differently. Alright, let's see what's under this. Let's just cast this. Okay. Does Snapcaster have a good target? No. Guess I'll start with this. Platinum Angel, okay. So I go to discard. I'll discard one of these. Maybe I just discard Key to the Archive. I like my whole hand. No, I don't like Platinum Angel, though, actually. I don't believe I like that for this matchup. I can't be convinced that that's an ideal card. So I can let this resolve, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably should not. So it could get into a weird situation if they, like, exile their own specialist. Okay, they choose not to. I'd be very surprised if they didn't do anything. It'd be kind of insane if they didn't do anything. My opponent just did nothing. Okay, very crazy. I can Snapcaster Mage now, but I don't think I have to. If my opponent's not doing anything, I don't think I have to do anything. That is an odd turn, in my opinion. Very odd. Okay, so I can play around one counter spell, which is fine. I'm gonna attack the two things that can be a recurring threat, I guess. Okay, they bounce this to exile my Ulamog with it. I'm gonna try to stop this. I think it's worth trying. Alright, it's snap resolved, so... yeah. That makes sense. They could bounce my Ulamog with this, but where does that get them? And then bouncing it with this doesn't get them anywhere. So, yeah, it's just exile effects at this point. And from what we've seen, it does not seem like a blue-white hardcore control deck. I mean, they didn't even have a counterspell here. They just didn't have one. It's just tempo bounce stuff. I like what I saw. It wasn't blue-white control, but yeah, it's just it wasn't enough to overcome what I was going to be doing. Right? There's not enough of what they're doing fast enough to prevent me from getting to like this. So that's just gonna happen, right? I could again just cast Uro like every turn out of the command zone. I don't even need it in the graveyard. Getting smashed by Jodah massive threats. It does not take long for Jodah to kill you, right? As we constantly see. This would have been useful. I've yet to cast Cyclonic Rift. Fortunately, I can't keep this hand. Okay, alright, we have green. We have green. A Darkar Wastes. Curse of Silence. Okay. Naming Uro is totally fine. Don't really care about that. I would care more if I didn't have these two cards, but so be it. Alright. So I cultivate next turn. Well, actually, no, I can Vastwood Surge next turn. What am I talking about? Oh, hey. I guess this one's... Vastwood Surge can technically put 2 counters on a creature at some point in the future. So I guess I'll hold on to that one. I don't know. I don't even really care about their Teferi. I mean, kind of. Do I? I don't know. It's not crazy card advantage. It does suck that they actually do get 2 untapped mana, though. Oh, I guess it doesn't suck. Never mind. Spells are cheaper, and then exile, bounce it, you can reset it. Artifacts. They name artifacts, so it's a super artifact-heavy deck. It's not necessarily a control deck. I'm actually not going to play Uro because I do not want my opponent to draw a card off this Curse of Silence. If I can help it. And Celestius would be decent. I suppose I'll just play this to play around counterspells. I'd rather have this in play. I don't exactly need more mana for anything in the game, right? Like at all, so... Don't know why they manually tapped like that. That's strange. Oh. Okay. They didn't swing first. This can untap a creature, right? Yeah, they could have swung first. Was it a second Teferi? Okay. So, my opponent does have a lot of mana. If I could blow up this Arcane Signet, it would be really nice, but I can't. I don't know why they floated mana. Wait. Wait a minute, what? Yeah, I don't know why they wanted to do that. They could have just cast Spark Double and then plussed. I don't know why they sequenced it in like a funky way like that. Herald's Horn? Well, that's not a mana rock. Wait, you have to choose a creature type, right? Wizard? No way. My opponent's playing wizards? Is that what's happening? I am interested. But unfortunately I have to let them draw. I'd rather not have this be a thing, but I can't like hold off anymore. I can cast Uro twice depending on what I find right now. There's a good chance I'm just going to cast it twice. Yep, so we'll put it back to the command zone, do it again. Guess I can play land first. And now we send it to the graveyard. Yeah, Azorius Wizards. Honestly, I mean, the worst part about this is the double Teferi. Screw the Wizards. The main problem is going to be the 2 Teferis. It doesn't even matter what the creatures are. It is those Teferis. Alright, we have all the mana in the observable universe, but we have nothing to do with it. But I have some pretty good top decks. Yeah, it doesn't matter what their deck looks like. It's just these 2 Teferis that are gonna make me lose, not their random creatures. They did hit they did find one off the top. Random creature from an opponent's library. Okay, so they can steal a creature out of my deck, I guess. Or do you steal it or make a copy of it? Make a copy of it, okay. Oh, well, that's not good. What does this do? Whenever you cast your second spell, copy it. Okay. Yep, like I said. Literally, it doesn't matter what my opponent's doing. It's just the 2 Teferis that are going to win the game. I need Ulamog, like, instantly. So, Primal Command. The search card that, like, whatever it's called. No, that's not what I needed. Okay. It's not what I meant, but I need a card here. So, something, please. It's not what I needed. Let's play this for no reason. I don't know. I could have held on to that for the Celestius, actually. These ultimate at 7, right? Yeah. The ultimate, is it you draw a card at the beginning of each opponent's draw step? Okay, so it is fairly relevant. If it didn't draw cards, it's not really that exciting at all, but shoot, I would actually just mind it. I would ultimate the other one just to like play it safe. You never know. Like if I somehow blew this up or something, just cash it in. You're going to draw so many cards this game, you don't really need the second Teferi. You just cash that in for an emblem. I think it's free. I'm fine with this resolving. I believe the Teferi token isn't a legendary, right? So it gets to stay? I don't know. I mean, at this point, I might as well counter this one, I guess. I could have countered the copy? I don't know. Maybe that was better. Probably doesn't matter. But I probably should have countered the copy. In hindsight, because they can recast this. I mean, that's an entire turn of doing stuff, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. I did need a spell for Uro anyways. To, like, cast it. Even though Uro doesn't exactly stop what's happening to me right now. Always loot. Even if your hand is empty. Always loot. Alright, fine. I also have to loot just on the basis of casting Uro repeatedly. Well, I'd say this be good, but Who knows what my opponent's got going on? Can I leave it up and cast this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I cannot. I can loot here. 4, 8, 13 mana. What am I looting into? Whatever I loot into, I'm just gonna keep the Cyclonic Rift. Doesn't really matter. Just gonna keep that. So I guess I'll do this on their upkeep. Or maybe right now? Okay, that was the second spell. Yup. Yup. Yeah, alright, we'll go to their upkeep. And then we'll try to do this. I've never cast Cyclonic Rift. Okay, good, good, good. It sets them back a whole lot because they don't have a lot of mana. That was huge. Wow. Yeah, I own the like special fancy foil one on paper. Where is it? It's somewhere. Okay, so Ulamog is extremely good right now because it sets them back mana quite a ways. I think I'll hit both the artifact mana. That was like 2 days ago. Yeah, I believe it. Alright, let's hit the artifact mana. I guess I recast Uro. Trickster doesn't really do anything except be a wizard, I guess. It's kind of cute. Ah, can't even play it. No, we don't want Uro in the command zone. Okay, so hopefully we can do crazy stuff now with this Ulamog. That Cyclonic Rift definitely saved my life. Okay. Okay, opponent didn't really do much of anything. Let's loot away this Elvish Mystic. Let's swing? Yeah. I'm at 40. I don't have any reason not to attack. This counterspell can be really good here, or just really bad. I guess I'll keep the Scute Swarm in hand. It's not really doing anything. I don't even have lands to go for it. I could have scryed before I drew. Yeah, we just pass. Not a very eventful turn, but it is what it is. At least my opponent's not utilizing all the additional mana Teferi gives them. They found another wizard right off the top. Tameshi, what? Whenever one or more non-creatures land you control. Okay, that's like extremely slow, huh? It does give them something to do with all like the untapped mana. I don't really know why they're doing this. That seems odd. Unless you have a solid answer to my Ulamog, I'm going to cast it again. So I don't really agree with this. That's fine. I mean, if that's their only way to stop Ulamog from attacking and milling them out, then so be it. You have to do what you have to do. I appreciate that, but not the best showing. Okay, so I'm going to attack more mana. Don't really care about all this stuff in play. Yes. Yes. Oh, so that's why they bounced it. Because they knew they were going to untap with their emblem and then have a counter spell. But we can fight back. Yeah. So that's kind of the downside of not playing like hard blue-white control. They're doing like blue-white wizard stuff. This is going to happen. But honestly, the Cyclonic Rift on their upkeep was just so destructive. They only had 4 lands in play. And it literally just sent them back to like turn 4, you know, and it was like turn 15. I had 1 million mana, so that was crazy. Yeah, that Cyclonic Rift was insane. They could never really recover, even with the emblem drawing a bunch of cards, and they didn't have anything to do with the additional mana that they got on other people's turns by untapping their stuff. because they're like all this crazy wizard stuff. I really like their deck though. This is kind of cool. I like what I'm seeing. They even have wizards class in here where like there's nothing about this card that cares that it has the word wizard on it, right? There's nothing like wizards matter on this. It just has the word wizard. My opponent threw it in their deck. So I like their deck, but unfortunately it just didn't come together right. We had the Celestius looting away certain things. Uro was going to start to show up every turn. We could have played a Nissa that was like really huge, but the Scrying 2 isn't really all that exciting. I was already doing that with Castle Vantris. They also gave me things in hand to very easily loot away now, right? I don't have to replay these. I can just keep them in hand and loot them away to add more Uro casts over the course of this game. If this somehow went to decking, I don't think it could, but if it somehow did, that one Ulamog attack would have been somewhat relevant, but GG's. Cool game. Alright, so after a bunch of games, like a whole bunch of games, Uro was not... This iteration of Uro is not that great. There are certainly ways to get Uro in play faster. You can play like Consider, Brainstorm, just 1-mana cantrips to fuel Uro way faster. It would also like smooth out your draws a little bit more to have a bunch of cantrips. There's like green cards that mill you, and you can pull cards out, like the Green Cavalier can do it, stuff like that. There's way better stuff you could do to get Uro in play faster, but I was more interested in just playing lands out of hand and then casting larger threats and not really caring about Uro, which is probably wrong. Could definitely take down some of the top end and add more of that if you're interested in the Uro strategy. I was more interested in just playing blue-green Value Town, and I didn't want to play Tatyova. I think Tatyova's just like way worse than Uro. Yeah, I've never played Tatyova, had it resolve, and triggered it. So, like, yeah, it's not... You agree on interesting losses, find a posted deck. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Wayfarer's Bauble is dope. I don't think I ever got to use it. I don't think so, but it's just solid. Like, just put this in your deck now. It's just one of those cards. I don't have a way to like cheese the life loss from the One Ring because I don't have Shield Druid or Davriel or anything like that, but it's still just an auto include. I didn't get to play Nissa. I don't think I've ever actually got to play this card, even though it's one of my favorite Planeswalkers. Let's mix those words up. Ever since Historic Brawl lets you play your Planeswalkers as commanders, I now call Planeswalkers commanders. I can't undo that. Unfortunately, a lot of games may have just boiled down to Ulamog, which is cool, right? You get to play Ulamog. It's like craziest spell in the game or whatever, but it's like, I've done it a million times. I really wanted to Tooth and Nail, and I never got to. We did get to Cyclonic Rift, though. We did get to do that, which I'm happy. I didn't get to Primeval Titan, but in this deck, again, Cultivator Colossus, when you're running like 50 lands, is probably just better than Primeval Titan. I don't have access to Field of the Dead, so I can't, like, Field of the Dead somebody. And getting man lands out of your deck is not really relevant. It doesn't really, that's not... Man lands are not really good at all in this format. Like, at all. Maybe Den of the Bugbear, but they're, like, almost just universally bad. If you're only activating a man land, you're just not in a really good spot, right? It's just never something you want to be doing. Layer of the Hydra is alright. It could be like a green Banefire. Like if your opponent's tapped out and it's like boom or something. Like if you're attacking their Planeswalkers and they can't stop you. Like it's too cute. I just don't respect them. Play untapped lands. Just you need untapped sources to quickly do what you're doing instead. That, in my experience, is just far superior than playing tapped lands that have like niche abilities. Tome of the Infinite, unfortunately, had not scammed anybody. I never really got to flash back anything like consistently that felt good, right? Like have a bunch of mana, have Snapcaster or Mission Briefing, and then flash back something crazy that was very satisfying. It never really came up, unfortunately. Wash Away never hit a commander, I don't think, so that never lined up properly. It's just the problem with the counter spells. I was super light on removal, But usually the things that killed me on board with creatures, there would have been so many creatures, I would have just straight needed a sweeper as opposed to spot removal, right? Like if I had 15 witness protections, it probably wouldn't have saved me in any game in which I would have removal against a creature-based strategy. I would have always needed a sweeper, so River's Rebuke and Cyclonic Rift. And I think Flood of Tears is the other one. I'm not running that one. I'm not super big on that one. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it was solid. Platinum Angel, Sarith came into play once, but it was one game in which I lost because they had like the penultimate O-rings, and they could just keep using the O-rings because River's Rebuke and Cyclonic Rift don't actually stop O-ring from coming back into play. So I just like couldn't actually stick my Platinum Angel because their removal spells were permanents. That's unfortunate, but we tried. I would actually take Tatyova out of this, which is kind of unbelievable to say. A deck with Growth Spiral, Explore, Joint Exploration, Uro, and 50 or 44 lands or something, and I would still take this out. Goes to show how I really don't like this card. You have to cast it, and then you have to untap with it, and then you gotta like play lands. I had this in play one game, I think for the first time ever, and then once I did that, I just never found a land, which is very unlikely, but it happened, and it just felt bad, right? Even with Cultivate and all of the 4-mana land ramp spells, if I do post this list, which I probably won't post this list, because I think if people interested in playing Uro, there's just like a better way to do that, and this is not it. There's probably a better way to play blue-green Value Town, like Tamiyo could be in my command zone instead, right? So I can pull very strong spells repeatedly out of my graveyard, and just fuel the graveyard faster for Snapcaster Mage and Mission Briefing. It's like something to think about there. I've seen Tamiyo played as a commander, and it seems solid. Recurring Tooth and Nail if it gets countered, obviously, just stuff like that. It's just great. But yeah, as it stood, wasn't the best showing. I want to play a teamer version of this with Xenagos and the World Spine Worm to just smash somebody for 30 instead, but I wanted to lead with just a blue-green, more simple version as just to start with. But yeah, let me know what you thought about this list. If you like Uro, I wouldn't recommend this list. But if you have an Uro strategy that you liked, or a blue-green tooth and nail thing that you're excited about, let me know in the comments. But either way, like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. See you guys next time.